once you're in the witchcraft, like everything seems so awesome and stuff. But to just, try to take in the fact, that the spirits you're messing with aren't spirits, and that in the end, the price of your soul is not worth it. And also that you can never...
Hey witches, I have a very special guest for you today. I am doing a podcast, and this was randomly. I just decided to just record, and it was unexpected. I did not do no setup, but I want to introduce you to Angel Renee, who used to be a witch, and she turned to the path of God. There are going to be certain parts that do not have videos, but I just will put her picture up there. But enjoy this podcast. This was unexpected. Enjoy this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get to the podcast. Hey everyone, this is Angel Renee, and I just want to introduce you to her. So go ahead and let the viewers know a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm Angel Renee. I'm the one that's behind this story about how I used to be a witch, and now I'm a daughter of God and a fierce kingdom builder and a prayer warrior. And this is going to be my story, and I hope that it reaches out and touches somebody to turn your light back to the Lord. And you ask God, where were you? Or why did you let this happen? Why did this happen to me? And you feel like you don't get no answer. So I went through a whole period of anger.
I'm listening.
Oh, yeah. And I was trying to type in this address because I needed to pick up something.
You're okay.
And I just, and then, like what really opened my eyes was, there's, how there's, what do you call it? Astral traveling, like you leave your body and you go somewhere and they think it's cool or whatever, but it's really not, because
you're being detached from your body, basically, spiritually.
Well, people can do it on command, and like a lot of witches do it, people that do witchcraft, because they can astral travel into someone else's home and do things to them and stuff like that. But there's also, like, our bodies are attached to, like, this silver cord, and it's in the Bible, too. And a lot of people that do that and play around with magic don't realize, like, if there's people in authority, like in Christ and stuff, like, if you astral travel to their house and they really know, like, they're really, like, blessed and into God's word, they can cut your silver cord while you're astral traveling. And when that gets detached from your body, then you die in real life.
Right.
And I just learned, like, so many things. But I woke up when I got taken to hell. Like, it wasn't an astral travel thing, because I was laying there, just laying there staring out the window. Then everything just went black. And it wasn't like a cool, floating somewhere and Jesus took my hand and, hey, here's hell. Like, I went down and it was just awful. It really was. And he showed me the part of hell that if I continued in my life doing the spells and stuff like that, because hell, there's different parts of hell. It's not just this big burning place, like they say. Your hell's going to be according to your works and your sins. So at the time, mine was, messing with magic and all kinds of things and spirits, because, I have gifts, and there's people that have gifts, and then there's people that obtain gifts from messing around with stuff. So they're not gifted, but they can, the demons act as soul, what do you call them, spirit guides and stuff?
Yes.
And there's no such thing as spirit guides. Well, they're not really spirit guides.
They're demonic guides?
Yeah, they're actually familiar spirits. Like, like how they call themselves mediums. Like, because this is what I learned, because I used to see spirits all the time, and my grandma died and seen all these things. And what I realized was, and plus, when I went to hell, I saw this, there's these spirits called familiar spirits, and they're constantly being dispatched. Like, they come from hell, and they take on, the persona of whoever it is you're trying to talk to. Like, if you want to talk to your grandma, the spirit's going to come and act like your grandmother. The spirit will come and act like, your dead sister, whoever. But it's not really them. But of course, they know everything about you because, the spirit world knows about us. So that's how you're able to obtain information and get tricked. And, all the time, I thought I was seeing my grandmother and all these people, like I also had went through, like a lot of people in witchcraft will know about this, but they'll never admit to it. Having spiritual spouses and husbands.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the reasons I was angry is because I was in like a 10-year marriage and it was just full of and the guy ended up raping me and held me hostage for 3 days, and that's how I got away. So I was angry about that. Hated men. I actually didn't want nothing to do with human beings at all. So I went to spirits and started like dating spirits, and you can really do that, but they're not who they say they are. Like, I ended up having a dream about a certain spirit, about someone who had passed, and I thought that person was really coming to me and was real. But I would always wonder why, he would only manifest in my dreams and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd stand there on my altar to him and everything, and I'm like, like, show yourself. Like, I want you to stand here in front of me. I want to sit down and have a conversation with you. And he would never do it. And so I would go to other psychics, to try to get messages from him, because we communicated, but there's questions he wouldn't answer. So when I would go to other psychics and they would try to call on him, he would attack them. And so I ended up, I forgot how I actually found out what he really was. It was someone from a church, actually. And she's told me that what he really was a demon. Mm-hmm. Taking on the personification of this other person because he knew it would catch my interest. And I would get more and more interested and dive in deeper. And then what you do, when you have spiritual husbands and spouses, every time you like having with them and doing all these different things, you're feeding them the energy, but it's draining yours and it's killing you. So I noticed, I was getting sicker and sicker, and then I would hear him telling me, like, go kill yourself so we can be together, like different things like that. But, these things are really demons, and people like witches and stuff, that's where they get their help from. But there's a price with all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, everyone calls themselves like a high priestess, or they're, Hecate's favorite and all that stuff. Everybody is replaceable and disposable so quickly. And there's a price, and your price is your life if you don't get out of it. Because I've seen people, when I was in the witchcraft, when they were done with them, like, they would die. Like, I remember this one guy, I was in this group of Luciferian group or whatever, and he ran the group. And I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know what he did, but, like, he ended up, his room, they said his room caught on fire somehow, and he couldn't get out, and he died in his sleep. But, if your room is on fire, you're going to wake up.
But he was still asleep? So he just laid there?
That's what they said. But I think, like, what really happened, because the way they found him, he was just stiff. Have you ever had, like, paralysis?
Yes.
Like, sleep paralysis? Those are demons like sitting on you, like they're paralyzing you. So at that moment in time, like if you have no protection while they're paralyzing you, they can kill you. You know, like people don't realize that. And they literally took this dude out. I know that's why he died, because he was, you know, getting too big for something. But I think, you know, Lucifer was just done with him. And then immediately after he died, the other person in the group became, you know, the leader of the group. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. I'm out of that group. I don't want no parts of it, y'all. I'm not going to be part of that. So, you know.
Oh, my God. And
because I want people to wake up.
Right. And I just wanted to say, I am so sorry for what happened with your husband. I'm sorry. Because for that to happen, it shows that you were not just a strong person, but you got out of it, and Lord was in your favor. And the Lord was in your favor. And when you were saying that you were angry for all those times, I think that's what he wanted you to do. He wanted you to be angry at him because he knows that you're capable of getting out of it. And he knows that you will always go back to him because that is your, how would you say it? Like,
my God.
Yes.
That's
and
my
yes.
savior.
Yes.
He did. And at that time, I wasn't even talking to him. I had Ouija boards, I had tarot cards. I was playing with all kinds of stuff. And really because I wanted protection from my husband, you know, before he did all that stuff.
Right.
Because I just had this feeling of like I saw it coming, you know, and I kept having these dreams he was going to try to kill me. And plus he would say it every day, you know, and after a while you get tired of being called, you know, names, like calling me a bee every day and all kinds of stuff. And I ended up, I was angry afterwards because I got no justice because of the town that we lived in, you know, because we were an interracial couple. You know, he got no jail time. They let him out of jail immediately. He never served any time for what he did. And I was really angry because they had the proof, they had the pictures, you know, like all kinds of stuff. I got no justice whatsoever. And he got out of jail. Because they had him in there for like a month and he took a couple classes. And then they told him that he seems, what do they call it, recovered. And that they think he'll do okay.
Now,
and he ended up,
I just wanted to say, I didn't mean to cut you off. Well, since you said you were an interracial couple, can you explain that in the audio? I want them to know what for you.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm Black and Cherokee, and he was white and Puerto Rican.
Okay.
So, you know, we were like considered interracial, you know.
Correct.
But he more looks, you know, white. Correct. And his family, you know, the Puerto Rican side was his dad's side. You know, but he was really tall, and he had long black hair, and he had blue eyes, and you know, so, and where we were, you know, the time leading up to that, I don't like calling the police, but I called the police to the house 3 times that week. And I was like, can you please just make him leave so I can get me and my kids out the house because he keeps acting crazy and I know he's going to do something. So the cops, you know, they just kept writing it off like, oh, you're married and you're just having an argument, you know, it'll cool off. And I'm like, okay.
But they don't know that they're not in your shoes to realize the things behind closed doors.
Yeah, they didn't take it seriously because they were, you know, like those type of guys where like they're one way at home, but they can talk real good. So like when they would pull him outside to talk, he talked all nice and proper and good. Oh, he wouldn't do that. And he'd come to me in front of them. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. You know, it's just an argument. We can get through this. So I was like, whatever. I was like, you know, I knew something was going to happen. So I just started preparing for it. I had to, you know, I had to sleep with a bat under my bed, a knife under my pillow. You know what I mean? And it was ridiculous while I was trying to I was trying to leave with my children one day while he was at work. And that's what happened. I didn't know he was leaving work to drive by the house because I guess he sensed I was going to try it. So he caught me trying to leave with the children while, driving by. So that's what started all that. And
so when he caught you, if it's okay, you don't have to tell me, but when he caught you, what was the outcome? Like, can you explain any details? Like, as soon as he got there, what time was it? If you want to, or if not, just let me know. We can just skip the subject.
Oh no, I'll talk about anything because there's a lot of parts to my story, and I want to give strength to somebody, especially women and men because men get abused too,
Yes.
And relationships. To get out of it, it doesn't matter how many sorries they say, they're not going to change, and it can end up them trying to kill you like what happened to me. I was coming out the door, and he comes out of nowhere. Like, I guess he parked around the corner of the house, and he just comes up in there, throws me back inside, puts the couch in front of the door, and barricades the whole house. Barricades me and the kids in for 3 days straight. And he held me, put us all in this room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sat in a chair with a knife in his hand and some other, it was like a long steel thing, just threatening to kill me for 3 days straight. And when he didn't do anything towards the kids, but it's just the fact he did that in front of them, and he kept telling them to give me a hug because I'm going to kill your mom, say bye to her. So they're crying, traumatized,
Yeah.
And I was so angry, girl. I wanted to kill him, and I knew I didn't have anything because he removed everything that he found that I had hiding to try to get him with because I knew he was going to do this because, just my senses and the dreams I was having, the warnings I was having. And, he was so insulting, he would pull me out of the room, make me get dressed up in a dress and makeup and stuff, and then me. And then put me back in the room, then tie me up with Christmas lights at night to make sure that I wouldn't get up and go run off to tell on him. So that's where all that part of the anger, I went straight to Lucifer after that. You know what I mean? Because those 3 nights, I was praying and I was asking for help, and I was send somebody, because the way our house was, if you screamed, nobody could hear. So the way that I had got away was, at the time, I was seeing a counselor, for depression and stuff like that because of what he was doing. So I had convinced him, I was like, hey, if I miss my meeting today, my therapist is going to call the police and send the police over here. So you need to let me go to my appointment. So he ended up believing me.
And during this time, he was still holding you kind of hostage, correct? And he was still at that point in time?
Oh, yeah. This was the 3rd day. Yeah. I convinced him to, take me to my appointment, and he put all the kids in the car, and, he had his knife. He's like, I want you to go in your appointment. You come back out. If you don't, I'm going to hurt the kids if you do anything.
Well, he had a knife in the car?
Oh, yeah. He kept the knife on me, go to your appointment and don't do anything, and you come back out. Because that was our first time seeing daylight in 3 days.
Oh,
from, what he was doing. So what I took a chance, and there was a whole lot of people around. And I know he was acting crazy, but I had to do what I had to do.
For your kids.
As soon as I got up that door, I started screaming and hollering, and I got yelling for help. And he pulled off with the children in the car.
Oh.
And luckily there was cops there, so they chased him down because he tried to leave the county line because it wasn't far from where we were.
Right.
And then he got arrested. And that's what I mean, some of them saw all this. They saw what he did, and it wasn't enough to give him jail time.
That makes no sense. That was enough. Girl, that was a threat. Matter of fact, that was kidnapping.
Oh, yeah, he had... I'm going to send it to you. I don't want that part put up there, but I want to show it to you. I'm going to show you the list of his charges, because, you know, when someone has charges, they have this big old list going on.
Correct.
I'll show you the list of his... He was charged with, like 5...
Hello?
Can you hear me?
No, it paused for a minute, but don't worry, I can cut that part out. Hello?
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine.
Yeah, like all that driving. Damn it.
Hello?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
I'm right here.
It got cut off.
Yeah, I think it was the internet. I stopped moving.
You're okay, love. Now, you were saying you had 3 cats. If you don't mind, can you tell me their names? To the audience that are listening and watching?
Oh, yeah. I got a Great Dane named Marley, and I have 3 cats, Pie, Solix, and Storm.
Oh, how cute. And I'm sure you
Those
have
are my babies.
And I'm sure you have pictures of them. If you don't mind sending it, so I can post it for the visual viewers to see. You don't have to do it now. You can do it later. You can do it after, but yeah.
Okay.
Now, you said when you started the Luciferian, what age and what year, if you can remember? How did you get into... After the situation, I don't want to say the word, but after that situation that had happened with you, how did it come to that point in time where you felt like you needed to turn to Luciferian? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, actually, that was only... I had always done... I got into witchcraft like around 12. Like, because when I was little... You know, I used to see things, and my grandmother would always say I was, like, born with, like, they call it a veil over your eyes, because I would always sit with her and tell her stuff that was going to happen before it happened.
Right.
And so, like, around 12, I remember that's when I went up to my grandmother, and it was like, hey, I want to get baptized, you know, and I wanted to get baptized in the river, you know, like Jesus did. So when I got baptized that night, I had 7 nights I had dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And the last dream ended up being, it was like just darkness, you know, like it was space, but it wasn't space. And it was Jesus's face. And he was just there, you know. And then, like, it just let out this loud scream, and Satan's face burst through his face. And then I woke up. And after that, for some reason, like, my gifts, and I just started getting interest in the occult. My first thing I did, was what someone should never do, is, like, get a Ouija board.
Right.
And... because my grandma's house was full of spirits, and I didn't know that, you know what I know now, that it's just familiar spirits, because we lived on tribal land, because, you know, we're Native American too.
Right.
And, you know... You
said Cherokee, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I remember that, yes.
Yeah. And, I started with the Ouija board, then I started ordering, you know, candles, and this was the thing, like, there's reading stuff, but I actually was having spirits tell me what to do, like, how to do these spells, what color candles to get. I've never done too much reading. I've always, like, for some reason, I just was being guided demonically, what I know now. But I got a lot of knowledge from the spirit realm, and I didn't have to do a lot of reading. And I think that's why, you know, when I was with, other people that did what I did, they would always just not like me. You know what I mean? Because It was different. They had to read books. They had to have tarot cards. They had to study this stuff. And to me, it would just come naturally.
Well, technically, since you're Cherokee, you do have the Native American spirituality behind your background.
Yeah, but I didn't really tap into that too much. I would listen to chanting music and, loved being outside and paying attention to signs and stuff like that. But all that stuff is any type of worship of things other than God is not of God.
Right.
But the more the stuff I was getting into was it actually was just a little bit of everything, because I didn't realize too, there's this thing called the Marine Kingdom. And so I would always wonder why I loved water, why I loved the beach, and I would dream about swimming and being in the water. And I ended up, going to studying and doing, with Mommy Water and Oshun and all them, they're Orishas.
And what is Orisha, if you don't mind explaining? Because I don't know what that is.
That is in the religion, is called Obia.
Uh-huh.
So, Mommy Water, she's like the mother of the ocean of all the Orishas. Like there's Oshun. It's like an African Caribbean type religion, but they're parts of the Marine Kingdom.
Okay.
And that's a whole nother, like deep thing, because how they talk about Egyptian gods and different gods and goddesses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what people don't know is because no one stops and really, I'm a thinker. So it's like, if these people existed, where's their bloodline? There's no bloodline of these gods and goddesses. They were supposedly on the earth, but where's their children? Where's the people now? They're gone.
Right,
they're
descendants.
Yeah, and I learned that they're fallen angels, because if people would read the book of Enoch, it was taken out of the Bible. There's a couple books taken out of the Bible because it's real knowledge. It'll help you understand what spirits really are and what magic is. The fallen angels came down here and taught the people on earth magic and things like that, and it's supposed to be heavenly secrets, and it got twisted and perverted. So when people will see that, it's going to be like, oh, okay, well, people in heaven did magic. It's not the same thing. And they came down here, they perverted it. So,
and by perversion, you mean they manipulate it into a different way for people to think that it's a positive thing?
Yeah, there's things we know now, we weren't supposed to learn, we weren't supposed to be perversions, all these different things. All that stuff came from the fallen angels that came before us.
And they spread the knowledge to the humankind, so the humankind can use this. And the knowledge was not supposed to be seek, because in the Bible even states that's why Eve ate from the apple of the fruit of knowledge, right?
Yeah. And in the Bible, it'll tell you that you are not, let me see if I can find it, because in the Bible it specifically tells you that you are not supposed to mess with magic because it's detestable.
Right.
You're not supposed to, the Bible tells you, seeking mediums and speaking with the dead is not the dead, because it's familiar spirits, because once we die, that's it. You are immediately a judge. Catholics will teach you there's this purgatory. Then there's other people that believe when you die, you reincarnate and you go to someone else. The only spirits that get to come and it didn't have a chance are children, children that were aborted, babies that don't have a chance. I think they get to come back, but our souls don't reincarnate. Stuff will feel familiar.
Now, I don't want to come off insensitive here or to even question your faith. But didn't the Bible say like we should not believe in reincarnation either? Because you know what I mean, like because
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's no reincarnation.
right,
But in New Age, they'll teach you that. They teach you, that life just keeps going and you have these soulmates and you have past lives with this person. It's not true.
right,
There's no, you don't, people feel familiar or something like that because you have spiritual discernment. Like that person's energy, like discernment is like being around someone and you're like, hey, they don't feel right.
right.
Or I know what they're up to. I know what their intentions are. That's like having discernment. But, like the New Age or just a lot of things. Like when I was in the witchcraft, that's what it taught you. That you can just act any way you want to. And as long as you're a good person, you'll go to a good place or you'll go to some house in the astral realm and meet your lovers and do all kinds of stuff. And it's just not true.
Right. Now, I just want to say this because, as you know, and I'm not going to be like, oh, here she goes. She's saying she's a witch. But I just thought I'd say it in here so then my visual viewers and audio listeners would know. For for us, as me speaking for myself, we believe that once we, go, there's a place we go called Summerland where it's like a beautiful space where we're just spiraling into a little energy and we just live there. And then when we reincarnate, we're just there to help we guide other witches to go to the next life when they are leaving the Summerland. And since reincarnation for the I don't know if it's, do you believe in Christian? Is this what's we're talking about, or do you believe in like Catholicism or another religion that's God based?
That's one thing I'm not as religious because Jesus doesn't want us to be religious because for me, like, I just believe in God. I believe in Christ. I believe that he came down here and he died for our sins and his blood covers us that believe in him. Yes. I don't believe that there should be Catholic over here, Buddhist here. I'm not religious at all, so I don't label myself.
And I love that because, as you know, labels or religion does, as in, off topic. Did you hear about that girl who was an astrologer and her husband and her 2 kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found that out. I found out today. I saw it on TikTok. I said, oh my God. Because if she was an astrologer and the reason why I brought this up is because I'm saying like religious. So since she was an astrologer, she should have saw that coming, correct?
Well, what that is a prime example of what I'm talking about, like messing with that stuff. Because, like doing astrology, numerology, trying to do psychic readings, you're opening these doors, right, to the spirit realm.
Correct.
But it's not really a spirit realm. It's just a familiar spirit realm where demonic entity roam. Mm-hmm. There's angels and stuff like that, but like they'll say there's angel workers. I work with angels and stuff like that. That's not true. Angels are not going to go against God, where they are not going to work with no one with magic. So like they'll have these entities coming to them in the form of an angel, because like Lucifer used to be an angel. He was the angel of light
and music.
And he was. Yeah, and he stood right next to God, so he knows the Bible like the back of his hand, so he can come deceive and do whatever he wants and present anything to you, and so can his demons. That's their job, and there is no such thing as angel magic. The black magic, white magic thing is all magic. There's no good magic, and that's, a lot of people, like what happened with that lady, her family. You open these doors to these demonic entities and they take over, but you don't know they're demonic entities. You don't know that, those are the voices in your head telling you to kill your family. And it's not someone being weak. It's like if you have no spiritual strength, like they can take your body over. Like she's probably, after the deed is done and the demon has completed its work, they leave.
Correct. So they took her with him.
Huh?
So basically, after he was done with her, so he decided to take her with him, correct?
Oh yeah, like their mission is to ruin your life. So the demon, the demons, whatever spirits or whatever she was messing with, they have an assignment. Like when there's things like generational curses. That stuff's real. That's in the Bible. And doors that you open, they can cause you to do things. It causes possession because you don't have any divine protection. You don't have the Lord in your life, because it even says it in the Bible, and I've seen it. Even demons in hell know Jesus' name and tremble at it. So, like, if you don't have none of that, the demons can just infiltrate your life and get in your head, and your family, your kids. And then when they're done, they've ruined your life. They walk away laughing, go to the next person. Then you wake up, you're sitting in jail, and you're like, I just killed my family. I just killed my kids. And you don't feel that possession anymore. But it's already done, and you're not getting out of jail. That's like, like in Luciferianism, everyone's competing to be the best devil worshiper, pretty much. Right. Just like in Satanism. And so, Lucifer will give you what you want. He'll answer, when you call. And there's a price to that. And if you keep on doing it, the price is death at the end. That's why you see so many people, like famous people, even not famous, just die, just go to the next, and that's what that is like, it's just so misleading and just crazy. And it's like, you're not a favorite, because when I went to hell, when you die, and that's where you go, they're dragging you down there, like laughing at you. Like, yeah, you really thought you were special. Like, you're not going to be nothing here. They actually cuss. I mean, they say really dirty language. But, they laugh. They literally are laughing at everyone who thinks that they're just so awesome and they're serving Satan's kingdom the best. And there's a spot for them when they get there, and it's not a place that you'll ever get out of.
Right.
So when I went there, like, Jesus was with me. He took me there. I came out my body. I felt the thud. I felt my heart stop. It was all black, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And
now,
it was
can you let the audio and visual viewers, listeners, or watchers know, do you remember the date and time of that happening, or?
Oh, no, I don't remember that. I know this was because I just recently got out of all this stuff, and this was about, 4 years ago. Okay. It wasn't long ago at all. I know it was during the day because I was laying down to take a nap, but I didn't go to sleep yet, but I got put to sleep. And I felt my body, my soul my body just went heavy. It was like the most scariest feeling. It's just like you're just falling through the dark. And the Lord had my hand. He held my hand the whole time. And the reason he was holding my hand was because where he was taking me to, if he wasn't holding it, I would feel everything. I'd feel the heat. I probably wouldn't make it out. So we came to this darkness, and it was like a dark cave. And walking on the floor of this part of hell is hard to explain. It was so hot in there. It was cold, but it was hot at the same time.
Right.
And the ground, it moves when you step on it, and it was slimy. I don't know. It was like it had its own life of its own. And then, all of a sudden, the walls were it was just so dark, but it's like a different kind of dark. Mm-hmm. So then I'm looking at the walls of this cave-like place we're in, and then these demons' faces started coming out of the walls, it's hard to explain. They just started coming out, and coming out of the ground where I was walking. And demons are so ugly. Like, they're not like any picture that you've seen drawn.
They look more worse. They look more worse, like more demonic than we would think, beyond a human comprehension.
Like, oh yeah, like I promise you, any witch, any Luciferian, if they really saw what a demon looked like, they would probably poop on themselves and they would never touch it again. Like, this ones that I saw, they have like rows of teeth. It's like crocodile teeth, but they have like a snake tongue. And they're just so scaly and ugly. It's just so ugly. And they had, like, eyes everywhere. It's just so gross. And there was this, the Lord said, look. And there was this lady tied up, you know, in fours. You know, she was a witch. And, you know, her legs were tied and her arms were tied. But, you know, it was, like, spread out. You know, like you're about to be drawn and quartered.
Right.
And this part's graphic, but I mean, I need to tell it like it is because people need to know, like, this is what'll happen to you.
Let me say this first. Before we get into this description, I want to let my audio know, and my audio listener knows, and my viewer listener knowing that this is viewers' discretion is advised for educational purposes only. I repeat, for educational purposes only. Go ahead.
All right. And so the girl was laying there just screaming, right? But she was her soul was so tired. I guess she had been screaming, like she's been there for a long time. She looked like she'd been there for a long time. But she was trying to scream. She had no more energy left because in hell, like, you're drained of energy and everything.
But so it's on repeat. But it's on repeat.
Yeah. Directly in front of her, you know, one of the demons came out of the wall, and then there was these other ones around her, and they were waiting for the big demon face that, like, came out the walls directly in front of her. And so his tongue came out of his mouth, and it was really long, and it looked like a regular tongue, but it started at the middle of her and, like, licked up. But when it did, it, like, split her body in half, you know, like his tongue was a huge razor blade.
Right.
And she was alive, like, she felt all of it, even after she was split in two, but it stopped at her neck, like, you know. And then the other little demons came that were around, these little things, and was just tearing her flesh, eating her apart. Like, she felt all of it. And then her body would go back together, like, regenerate, like it didn't happen. And then it would happen over again, and, like, over and over and over. And then the Lord said, this is where you'll be if you continue doing what you're doing. And so all of a sudden, like, I felt like going back into your body. It was like I got thrown back in. I just woke up, you know, and you could feel, like, the way my heart was beating. It was like it was starting up again. It was so terrifying. Like, I was breathing so hard, and, like, I was breathing so hard, and I was like, wait, like, what just happened? You know, because that was different. It wasn't like a dream. It wasn't, you know, like a vision. Like, that really happened.
Right.
And, you know, the next day, I'm supposed to be doing my ritual to marry Lucifer. So, even after all that happened, like, it was later that night came, and I was sitting on my bed, and I had Lucifer in my room, because every time, you know, I would go to my altar and worship him, he really would come. You could feel him. He'd put his hand on my shoulder, you know, like, you could tell he was there. Mm-hmm. He'll show up, and he'll come, you know, like, according to however he wants to be. He would always come to me like a loving husband, like a protector, you know, like, make me feel at ease. But, you know, if people really knew how ugly he really was, you know, he's just really good at deceiving. So
And that is what people don't understand, correct? Is that he comes to you when he knows you need him the most. And the reason why God doesn't come to you when you need him the most is because he knows you can handle it. He set already a path for you. So he already knows the outcome of it. But what people don't realize is that God cannot come to your aid when you need him like that because he already knows you're going to be okay.
Well, no, well, kind of, but God respects our free will. And at any point in time, even though our lives are set one way, it can be changed. So like the Lord knows what you could do if you follow this path. But if you choose to call on him and ask him to step in your life's going to go a different way. There's a couple ways your life can go. And it's just different for everyone. Because like with me, I had divine intervention. I didn't ask for help. But it's because my calling that the Lord has, the work that he wants me to do so strong, he's like, I'm not going to let her fall. But that doesn't protect you. You still have to go through stuff.
Right.
That's just like after, I went to hell, I was sitting on the edge of the bed getting ready, contemplating to do my ritual to marry Lucifer. So then all of a sudden, like, I couldn't move and my ears started ringing. Like, you ever had your ears ringing, but it was so loud and my room turned white, like the whole room, like this filled up with this white light, but it's not like light here. It's some other kind of light. And all like first it was 4 huge angels, and like angels are huge. They are powerful. They are way more powerful than demons and stuff. And I knew 2 of them. It was Archangel Michael and Raphael. I knew it was those 2 because Michael came in first. He wears armor. He really does wear armor, and they had swords. It was 4 of them, and they filled the 4 corners of my room because I had 4 altars in my room. I had an altar for each thing that I was messing with. So they came into the room and, like, I couldn't move. And it was like I had all kinds of spirits, demonic entities, from everything I was messing with on my table, Lucifer. Their presence and whatever they did, I felt every spirit that I was messing with leave the room. Like, they ran out of my room. They ran. And I felt the room just get light. Like, all this demonic stuff just left. And I felt Lucifer take off running because there's more angels too. It was like the 4 were in the room and there was some in front of me. And then they started parting. Like, they moved out of the way. And that's when the Lord was coming. But all he said to me was, "You're still my child and I forgive you and I love you." And then I started busting out crying. You know what I mean? Because at the time, like, I didn't ask for this. I was getting ready to marry Lucifer. I was cussing at him every day. I was hating him. And then he just did that. And for some reason, it just convicted my heart. Like, it was like after he said that, there was another angel. And it was like, because angels communicate telepath. They can communicate actually however they want to. But for me, it was through my mind because I couldn't move. I was frozen. And this other angel, like, touched my head. And I saw my life. Like they say, when you die, you get a life review. It was like a picture show. And it started scrolling through my life, all the pain, everything, way, way, way back. And it went all the way back until I was little. And I was with my grandmother. And then that was the first time that I knew God loved me. So it was like they gave me that memory back to remember the first time when I knew God loved me, to remember it. And then, like, everything cleared out of my room, and I got up and I threw everything away on my altar. I threw Lucifer's altar away, the Orishas, everything, all my candles. I had contracts up there with demons. I broke them. I burned them all. And then that was like the last time I touched that stuff. That I I got attacked for doing that, but the protection from the Lord kept me from getting, because doing that, some of the demons that I had made pacts with, they'll kill you for not completing your word. But the Lord, everything bows down to the cross, period. I don't care, like, what anyone says, and they're going to make fun of it. I know they are.
Mm-hmm.
Everything bows down to the cross and to the blood of Jesus. And, I've never, for the Lord to come and intervene that way before I really did something, because if I'd have married Lucifer and went down that way, I wouldn't have been able. There are people that can't be saved anymore. Like, they're gone. And if I'd have did that, I would have been gone, and I probably would have been dead like a few years later, just like he disposes of everybody else,
Right.
So I got really, ever since, that was 4 years ago. I still went through stuff. There's a whole lot of other stuff in between that I've done. But to this day, like right now, I'm in a good space in my life. Like now, like I pray, I can talk to the Lord. My prayers move things. And we will always, I think, be a work in progress. But I think the best thing I ever did was put the witchcraft down.
Right. Now, before I let you go, so then, do you have any messages for future witches or for anyone that decides to leave that path towards a different path? Is there any message that you want to share with them?
I think something that's really important is to, like, take heed to, I know, like, once you're in the witchcraft, like, everything seems so awesome and stuff, but to just, try to take in the fact, that the spirits you're messing with aren't spirits, and that in the end, the price of your soul is not worth it. And also that you can never be too far gone to be saved, and you're going to lose friends when you do it. You're going to be made fun of. But, heaven is a real place and God is real. And all you have to do is, go to him, tell him you're sorry, repent for it. I've had more blessings in my life than I did sitting in front of my altar trying to do spells over and over again. Like, one time I have to tell you, like, I was short on my rent, okay? And, like, I don't have family and people to help me. I just have, my hubby now, my kids. My grandmother passed away. She raised me. I remember praying, and this was a few weeks ago. I had no idea what I was going to do, even though I Uber drive. I was like, man, I really need rent. I don't know what to do. I'm tired. Like, I'm working every day. And the Lord told me to give it to him. And the next day I checked my mailbox, and I had a $2,000 check in the mail. And I can prove it because I kept it.
I believe you.
I don't have it on me, but I had it. It came in the mail, and I know that was God. So, like, to just try to reevaluate your life. It's not worth it worshiping Satan. Everything of this earth, magic, leads back to him, and he's not your friend.
Your story is amazing. It gave me so much goosebumps. I felt like you need to start your own podcast. You are such an amazing speaker. Your vocabulary, your articulating. Chef kiss. It was beautiful.
Thank you. And then too, if, like, I'm an intercessor now, I've been trained to pray. Like, if anybody wants to pray and come to the Lord, like, you guys can come to me. I can help you through it because it's not an overnight process. And, like, I'm here for anybody that needs to talk and needs the prayer. I can help get them out of it.
And I hope they do. I will leave everything in the description box below for you to check out her page and her information. With that being said, before I let you go, I just want to tell you thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for sharing your story for not just me, but to help others that are out there are struggling through the same thing.
Thank you for letting me.
You're welcome. Have a good day, babe. But thank you, Angel. Bye.
Yeah, good day.
You too. Bye. I know this was unexpected. It was just crazy because I was supposed to record while we were doing this, but we talked, chopped it up. She was a beautiful soul. I felt so connected to her. I felt like we were meant to meet, and there will be definitely a part two, and I will make sure we will be on camera. So don't forget to like this video and also subscribe. Blessed be my witches and wicked, and have a good day. I will leave everything in the description box below. Go ahead and check it out and reach out to her. Bye.